Doodlebud. Today we are checking out this lovely new Delta pen sent to me via Pen Chalet. Pen Chalet. This is my very first Delta brand pen. They've been around for a while. They started in 1982. They did shut down, but now they're back and they've released some new pens, and this is one of them here. This is the Right Balance. I'm going to talk to you why it's named that. It has an interesting little feature in there. We're going to review it and having fun with it. Also, a couple important things. One, I have a cool announcement you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for. Another one, I have a question. I need some help from you and want to get your input, so stay tuned for that. Pen is packaged like so, all black with the Delta logo on there. You slip it open, and so it's just a cardboard sleeve to reveal the plastic alligator box, whatever that material is, but it looks nice. It's a nice box, no serious branding on there. Pop it open. It's all nice and suede-y, smoothie, and soft, which is quite nice. Get one of these in there, which leads actually to the first big announcement. So the good folks at Pen Chalet, a lot of times when you do purchase, every time, you get a 10% off coupon for your next order. But there is an expiration on it. See, this ends June 30th. So if you don't buy by then, you missed your discount. They fixed this problem. I chatted with them. We set up a Doodlebud branded discount code. Doodlebud10 saves you 10%, and the expiration on that is May 1st of 2024. So behind that comes a little Delta manual, tells you how to fill the pen, all that good stuff, warranty, all those things. It's even in Italian, and I think there's some English in here somewhere as well. But there you go. Yeah, nothing too exciting. And then we got the box, and so it's got that suede type of fabric in there, and you can feel there's a little clasp there, a little plastic deal, and there you go. And again, what do you do with all these boxes? Who knows? Like I said, this is my first Delta branded pen I've ever owned. I did pick up this pen, which looks just like a Delta Dolce Vita, but this is made by Marta Modena. So this company came out a little bit after Delta stopped production, and it's not too bad. It looks just like it, but there are a few little things where it's just off a little bit. This is considerably less expensive than a real Delta Dolce Vita, and those ones always have gold nibs and all that stuff. Much sought after pen, but you're looking to drop about $1,000 for that. So it's not too bad, but the quality, a little few things I found little nitpicks on it. So I was curious that when Delta came back and had also some affordable pens, this pen goes right now for $156 on the Pen Chalet site. Is the quality still there, or did someone just pay for the Delta name to resume production and sort of ride in the legacy and the coattails? Well, I got some information from Pen Chalet. I asked that exact question, and they said the story is actually interesting because not much has changed. So Delta pens are now produced in Italy by Nino Marino, who is one of the original founders of Delta back in 1982. They're also produced in the same factory that Delta was made in before they stopped production. And what they've done is just update some of the equipment and machinery there at the factory, which means the quality has gone up a little bit. So that's actually really reassuring and good to know. This here is the Delta Right Balance, and it comes in a few different colors here. This is the red. It's got some beautiful swirls to it and shiny bits, and I figured we got a shiny red Italian pen. Let's cut to some quick glam shots and get back to it. Let's get through the details. We have your classic Italian styling when it comes to a clip, where it's a little ball here that rolls to go over top of shirt pockets and stuff. Works well. Does, a little buzz rattle as they all do, but yeah, we've seen that before. Very common in Italian pens. Cone in, couple rings there on the cap. You can see the Delta engraving. Actually, I think this is laser. I'll get you a close-up under the microscope in just a second, but I think that's done with laser, not with actual engraving, which will save a few bucks. It's on here on the cap near the bottom here too. No cap band, but it has the right balance, and it is numbered. That's looking like number 186. The cap comes off just in one rotation, which is really nice. Nice thing here too, you got the same color section as you do with the body, so everything is all one nice color. Here is the nib. It has some Delta logo on there as well. That again looks like it's done through laser the way it's done. I'll get you a close up under the microscope too. I believe this is a Yovo nib just from the type of the feed it is and the shape of the nib. Comfortable curved section, smooth threads. We do have a little bit of a step up there, a little bit of a transition, but nothing too severe, nice and smooth. It's comfortable even if you're gripping up here. I don't have any problems. Some other little bands here on here, and then it unscrews. Cartridge converter style pen. We do have an O-ring, and it actually has a good amount of pressure here on here, good amount of friction. So this definitely will not come loose at all. It's done quite nice on there. The converter is one of the screw-in types, which is very common in Italian pens as well. So that's sort of the same thing there. I'm always torn whether that's a good idea or not. I understand the reason why. Keep it in there very secure. But I always wonder about those things just kind of just wearing over time. And we have a little bit of Delta branding here that was done onto the converter. Down here in the cap, that's a very interesting piece. It looks like it's metal, steel. I don't know what that is, or aluminum, something like that. The color tells me aluminum, but I'm not sure. Don't know if it has to do with the sealing or just what, but it is an interesting little feature. It keeps everything together. Speaking of sealing, I don't have any problems with this nib drying up whatsoever. Now, on to why they call this the right balance. If you turn off the knob here in the back, it's not a blind cap to access to converter. Let's take it off. There's something in there. What is that something? We have this little weight, a little mass that's in the back. So what you can do is have it in there or not, and that will adjust the overall weight of the pen. Now for reference, this is a Mont Blanc 149 against the Delta right balance. You can see it is longer when it's capped. Let's give you the exact dimensions like so. This is 153.5. You pop off the cap, like I said, one turn. You got 135.5. If you post it, it is quite long, much longer my calipers can measure. It's about 174 millimeters. As far as diameter, about 16.3 here in the cap. Now it does, that's at the top part. You can see the whole pen has this kind of slight taper down. I measured here at the section, 15 millimeters diameter. It drops down. It's just over a 1 millimeter step down on either side. Okay, so about a 1 millimeter step down there. The section is about 20 millimeters long and is 11 millimeters down here and 12 millimeters at the ends. When it comes to weight, the pen like so, we got 27.9. How much of that's in the cap? About 10.9. Okay, so we got 17 grams in the pen. Now what we will do is we will take out that little weight to see what the difference is. I'm curious to see what this is. And it's even shaped, well, like a little mass. Here we got the calibration one. This is a 50 gram here for your calibration for this little scale. You can see it sort of follows that type of a general shape for those masses you get when you're checking a scale or balance. So we got 2.18 grams there. So about a 2 gram difference depending if you got it in or out. Next up, I'm going to put in some ink. We'll write with it and give you my thoughts. Seen as also Pen Chalet provided some Robert Oster ink to review. They also included one of these little cards. And this is the Robert Oster swatch play. So I guess you can catalog your ink colors. And I happened to get a pad of this stuff here last year at the Vancouver Pen shop. This is the Robert Oster signature pad they use. It's the Cosmo Airlight 75 GSM, but the camera will focus. There we go. So we'll have a Robert Oster fest when it comes to the writing sample today. There goes the focus again. Good Lord. The color we're using is from the Drinks #1 series, and it's called Whiskey. Well, hello there. Figured in the voiceover, I would do a little chat. So I have a question for everyone watching. Now, lately, I've been doing a few of these laser engraver videos because I have some fun projects coming up. Going to be engraving some pens finally. That's coming very soon. But I keep getting offers to review more laser engraving machines. Now, there's only so many I can do. I've already done 2 of them. I think there's like 3 or 4 other ones they want me to review right now. I can't do it. It's just too much. That's not the channel. Quick pause. By the way, when I write this, I'm talking about the nib, not something else. Back to the laser engravers. So I was thinking of doing a query to one of the companies that wants me to review one to see maybe if I could give it away afterwards. Would you be open to that? I can't promise you anything, but I can ask. And maybe if I do a review of one of them, at the end of the review, we do a giveaway. And someone watching, maybe you can get your hands on a laser engraver. Let me know your thoughts on that. So, how does it write? Well, it writes wonderfully. It's well-tuned, fits nice in the hand, it's very comfortable. I like the grip section, all that type of stuff. It's going to write really smooth because it's a broad nib. Now, my writing style favors like a extra fine, sometimes medium, or I'll say like a cursive italic, something like that. Those are my go-tos. But I do understand why people want to get like a nice broad nib that writes really wet, because it does just glide across the page. You got more surface area on that tip point, which means there's more ink. There's a larger little microscopic pool of ink that helps lubricate and glide the pen across the page. Sort of like an air hockey table, right? Those air hockey tables are smooth, but turn the air on and it just kind of floats. And that's essentially what happens when you're writing. You're getting just a little pond of ink, and the larger the pond, the smoother it is. So yeah, it's a lovely writing experience with the nib. Now, let me just talk to you about the ink for a moment. This is one of those inks that sort of leaves a crust on the nib when it dries up. Sorry about the goo under my fingernail, something stuck under there. But so it's, yeah, I have another ink like that. I think it's a Monteverde ink, Fire Opal or something like that, that does that. So this does it a little bit. If you leave it, the cap off, I find this ink dries a little bit faster. I've done this pen without this ink and it didn't have this problem. And when you're shooting a video and you got to change angle, the focus goes off, just leaving it for a quick little bit, sometimes it'll dry. But anyways, lots of different color depending on the paper. It sort of reminds me of the Noodler's, what they call it now, the Southwest Sunset, but just much tamer. You can see it here on the Cosmo Air Light paper instead. So much different color than it is on the Regalia. You get tons of shading on the Regalia and just a nice consistent with a little bit of shading there. And here's same thing with their sample paper. You can see different properties yet. And here's your standard Rhodia 80 GSM. And one thing with Rhodia, I know it's mega popular, nothing against it, but you can see, look at those edges. See how they're a little bit not as smooth, a little, not filled in and perfectly smooth. Let's show you the other paper. This is the Cosmo Air Light. See how those edges are not jagged? There's that Y. There's another Y. See the difference? Let me show you the Regalia. There we go there. You're getting that same smoothness, no jagged edges, and a little more shading. But that's a separate topic unrelated to the pen, but just little differences you get in paper. And also, consequently, the line thickness is a little bit thinner on the Rhodia versus your other papers. And this nib too, this broad has a little bit of a stubbiness to it. I don't know if it came through in the writing sample, but let me show you. So I think you can see here the downstrokes are just a little bit thicker than the cross strokes, and I find you get it a little bit more pronounced at a lower writing angle. But again, that could just be this particular nib. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Overall thoughts. Construction is quite good. All the fit and finish on here is quite nice. Nothing's out of place on it. Threads are smooth, all that stuff. Very comfortable to write with. It writes exceptionally well. Very nice writing experience. Everything goes together. It doesn't dry out. The seal is good. It does post if you want. It is quite long, but it does post and it's secure, not going anywhere. So it checks all the boxes for function and utility. I've been writing with it for over a week now, and it's worked the first time every single time, so no issues there whatsoever. So I was a little curious when Delta came back. Their first pen they released was quite an expensive pen, but it looked quite nice, gold nib, all that jazz. I checked the Pen Chalet site. There's a number of models they carry. They do carry the Dolce Vita back again, not the proper one. This one has some little issues, and I can see they have it with the gold nib. They also have it with steel, and that comes just a little over 200. I think like 236, something like that. And I can see on that one, there's the cap band has the proper engraving on there. Unlike this one here, it's coming off a little bit. So it actually looks like a very nice pen. I'd be curious to get my hands on that one to really check it out. And this one's on for $156. So to go from, typically very high-end pens to this price point, I was curious, would it still be a good pen? And they did a really good job. But let me show you a couple spots where they saved a couple bucks. Giving you a close-up here with a microscope attachment on the Delta logo. So it appears to me it's done with a laser. It's pretty clean, but just not quite as clear as those that are stamped into the body. Sometimes it does the numbering very, very quickly, very cost effective to do it with a laser. I can do it with my laser setup too, but you can see nice and clean, but maybe not as tidy as if it's engraved or embossed into there. And same thing carries on to the nib. No problem with that. One thing I do find with laser engraving on nibs, it leaves a little fibers when you clean them. So my overall impressions of this brand new Delta Right Balance, I think it's pretty good. One, it's a sexy red Italian pen and it looks very classy and sharp, so that's a big win. Very comfortable in the hand. The nib writes just spot on. That nib is doing everything a nice fountain pen should be doing. The balancing is quite interesting. I haven't seen that feature before. I don't know how practical it is or functional, but it's there nonetheless. And the only things that came up were tiny nitpicks I had to use a microscope to detect. So take that all with a grain of sand. The discount code, that's really cool. Thanks a big bunch to Pen Chalet for sending me the pen to review and setting up the viewers to the discount code. 10% off. You use Doodlebud10. By the way, when I clear it up, it's a non-affiliate link. I don't make anything off of that. That's purely a savings that goes on to you. So if you're the super skeptic out there thinking I'm just pumping this pen to make a couple bucks, I make no bucks if you use the discount code. I think that's where we'll leave everything. Hey, got a question for you as well. So this is my version of a Delta Dolce Vita made by Marta Modena. It's not too bad, but it does suffer from a few quality things. Has anyone watched and picked up the new Delta version of a Dolce Vita? Because I'm very curious. The quality on this one was quite nice. They have theirs coming in, I think it was like $236 or something on the Pen Chalet site. It looks really good. They got all the proper like lost wax casting for the band and just everything looks really spot on. I have a hankering to upgrade mine to a good one. I'd love to hear from you down there in the comments. Have you picked up one of the new ones and how is it performing for you? Let's chat down there. Hit the subscribe if you haven't. We'll leave it there for now. We'll catch you next time.